Hey everybody, it's Jasmine, your brow expert. Thank you so much for joining me. So today's model has thick eyebrows, but it's not full. She has thick eyebrows in certain areas with a thick strand of hair, but then other areas it's really thin. I chose to use a dip brow pomade to make the product last much longer. She also wants it to last because she has oily skin, so she's got problems with it not lasting. So that's definitely going to be something I'm going to touch on. I've been shaping eyebrows for 25 years at the eyeliner salon in Beverly Hills, so please stop by if you haven't done so already. And thank you for those of you that have entrusted me with the eyebrows. So all the things that I'm going to be using today will be in the descriptions along with my makeup. You guys are asking me what's on your lips, what are you using here? So I thought I can share that with you as well. So look out for that and tap the screen. That also will pop the products out, and I believe that helps me as well. So thank you, and without further ado, let's bring on this model. Now her brows are nice and full, right? Or thick, not full, but thick. Because sure, the strands of her hair has so much texture to it, but in the middle part of her whole eyebrow, as you can see in this outline, the top area right here is too flat and thin. She might have over tweezed a tiny bit over there. And underneath, which I think a lot of us have, is too thin underneath. Because we over tweeze up down below just to get that arch. It ends up being too curved. She's Asian, right? Like myself. So she's better served with it being wider, fuller, and slightly straighter. So for those of you that are not Asian and you have more of a two-dimensional eyelid, you want it to be still straighter but more of an angle, right? So but we're going to tackle for her the top just to kind of make it a little bit more even, a little bit. It's never going to be that perfectly even. And we're also going to use that freeze that I mentioned to you earlier. So the freeze, why would I use the brow freeze on her? Because she wants, first of all, she wanted to use it. She wanted to see what it looked like. So I thought, why not do a video for this, right? And so up in the front, it's thick, like I said. How are you going to be able to freeze thick eyebrows? And I say that because the freeze and brow freeze gels are great for your medium to light texture hair. It doesn't hold as well. So I was testing it out too. Now, as you can see right here, I'm combing it throughout the end of the eyebrow because it's that thick and dense. She's got quite a few hair, as you can see right there. It's all there, and it actually grows straight down and goes over her skin. So I have to trim that. You can't really move it anywhere else. So the trimming helps, but that video could be on another one. And I do have some videos on trimming, so check that out. So the brow freeze. This is like a brow freeze. It is a brow freeze wax. We have the gel, what's in a tube, but this one's a little bit more forgiving, meaning it doesn't dry as quick. So you have a little bit of time to work with it. So, and you're going to see that in just a second. So it's a clear gel. This is probably all you need. You don't need much. I'm using the spatula. You don't need a spatula, but it's kind of nice to have, actually. So I'm using, I'm scooping a tiny bit out, closing the cap. Make sure you close the cap immediately. And this is all I'm going to use. Now, I can use it on my hand because, you know, you're using it just on yourself. On the client, of course, I had to do it on the cap. So either way is fine as long as you flatten out the product. Right here, look at this. I am gonna do this on myself, obviously, but you're also gonna see that it's pressing against her skin. I'm applying the product, a generous amount, and I'm pressing it down. Now, I was surprised when I was doing this, to be honest with you. The side of the eyebrows, as thick as they are, it actually pressed down. So I was just like, oh, it's going down. Because it's so thick and coarse that I didn't think it was gonna move anywhere other than where it was at. So I was surprised by that. So I'm using my hand, and I'm still leaving some behind if in case I need to use that. Now, I don't have much hair because being tattooed, old tattoo that is, but there is some hair. So you're going to see that I'm holding the tool this way. Now, you can use a spoolie brush as well. Now, I'm combing it up, and I'm going to do this. On her, I'm combing it up, but I'm just going to flatten this out real quick. Did you notice that I'm just combing it up and pressing it against her skin? At this point, no, you don't have really a lot of makeup around the eyebrows. You want to save that for later. But now I'm using the back of a spoolie brush, but you can also use still the spatula. Once I apply the product on the hair, or over the eyebrow, should I say, and I'm pressing it, Then I'm using the spoolie and I'm brushing the hair up to see where or how high I want to go. Now, keep in mind, the reason why this has become such a big deal is that when the hairs are standing up, it adds to that fullness. As you can see right here, it looks pretty good already. Here, I'm actually showing you and myself, okay, well, you can't move the hair anywhere else on those short little areas. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And so we're focusing mainly up in the front. So this might be you. So do this. Don't worry about the ends. Just have some of that product down and just press this sideways, but it's not going to move anywhere else. If it's not you, you could probably move the ends a little bit sideways and you get an extra fullness. So again, it's about adding that fullness, not keeping, adding. So I'm brushing the hair up and I'm using the back of the spoolie. Like I said, you could also use a spatula to move the hairs around. So I'm pressing the hair against the skin. And you just go back and forth and do this to see, you know, how much. And did you notice that it's in an angle? Well, once your hair sticks up, at least for me, I don't like it when it's straight up, like in a 90-degree angle. I like a little bit of angle to it, like this way. So that way it looks a little bit more natural. So I'm using the Dip Brow Pomade because I believe that using that on a thick brow strand is going to blend a little better. If you use a powder or pencil, it could work. I just chose to use this one because it lasts all day. Why not, right? So I'm using ebony on her. I believe mine's granite, which is pretty dark, but I just want you guys to see on me. So the brush is going to be nice and stiff. That's very important. You want a stiff brush because when I say stiff, I mean like so that it's sharp. You get a little bit of the product out and then you just go back and forth on your hand. You could also use it on the cap, of course. If the dip brow gets a little bit dry, try to have like a hydrating oil byAnastasia, Beverly Hills. A little bit of drop of that, and that will loosen up the pomade if it gets a little too dry. Okay, so back and forth keeps the brush sharp. The longest part of the brush, I'm going right up in the front, and I'm laying it this way. And you may not tell this, obviously, but I'm applying very light pressure. It's the pressure that is allowing you to see the lines. And I'm not putting a ton on up in the front. She had a few holes here and there. If you have that, just add a little bit of lines in between those hairs that you just stuck up with the freeze. It just adds a little bit more dimension and texture and just adds a little bit of thickness. It's optional, obviously, but you can just go in between the hairs and it just really works. It doesn't really work, it works. So just a tiny bit. And again, you don't need to go fancy. You're adding these little lines. Use a spoolie brush if it's a little too dark, but that's, you know, that's something you should always do. So underneath here, it was thin, right? So I'm right now focusing on the bottom area, especially on that side that I'm working on right now, because it was naturally higher. So because it's naturally higher, you want to go a tiny bit lower, or just focus on that. Pay attention that, oh, that one's higher. So pay attention and go lower. I'm holding the brush this way. That's just an option. I like it because then you're isolating the brush right in here. You don't want to go head on. You could also lay it down and you can just go right here in that pocket. That's where I want you guys to focus on. And again, I'll do this on the other side. I don't typically do both my eyebrows, but you guys are getting both brows. Okay, so you don't see the gap as much on me, but you can certainly see it on her. Very important. Okay, and then I go back. Once I do that outline, then I just go back and fill inside that gap area. Again, I've chosen the Dip Brow pomade because it lasts all day. And if you take these little steps with light pressure, you're just going to get a really nice application without struggling too much. I don't want you guys to have to struggle too much. It's so by applying very light pressure, you don't have to struggle. You're just touching lightly. Remember, you could always add more if you want more. But when you press hard on a dip brow, it streaks a lot because it's like a waxy pomade texture, right? So by lightly touching your skin, you're really just getting that precise application. Again, not having to struggle. So again, you're just going back and forth down below. Now at the top here, especially this area. Remember, this area is naturally lower. So I'm just going not too high, but I'm just paying attention to that. Paying attention that it's naturally lower, so I'm just going on the line above. Now, when you're going above here, you're adding to that fullness. Keep that in mind. You're not exaggerating. You're going actually over. Some of you guys, or a lot of you guys, your hairs grow down. So you see some roots up there, go up there. And then you're adding that kind of fullness. And you can see right here, see that gap right there? That's why I grabbed a dark color so you can see that difference. You can go as high as you want by seeing the other side and trying to match, but not too high. You want to keep it, again, realistic. So I'm just adding a little bit of extra color inside. Once you create that outline, you go inside. The front can be a tiny bit longer, as you can see with her, especially on me. But you don't have to have it like perfectly even balanced. Now, here I'm going now back here, filling it in. I will put some on the top of the eyebrows, but I'm not going to focus that much. Here, obviously, I'm putting some color just to add that cohesive look to the pomade, but I'm being very conscientious that this side is naturally higher. So I'm not going to just keep going higher and higher, because then you're going to still end up with like, oh, it's too different. So again, I'm just paying attention and just going over. You're going to see me obviously using the highlighter and brush 18. Those are my two go-to products, because with pomades, it can get messy. It will get messy, especially when you're learning how to use it. So because you might go out of the line and you're like, okay, I don't know what to do now. It's a little too wide. Just keep doing this and apply with light pressure. Use a spoolie brush if you have to. Look at this before and after. Beautiful, right? While you guys are seeing this, I am just going to go underneath right here and then above. Now, on me, I try not to go too much above, because obviously I already know how to clean it up or add light pressure in the beginning, but because it's going to look just too bright. But you get the idea, right? The brush 18 is so important to just use to go around. Now, I often call this an eraser. Isn't that before and after so beautiful? I mean, it's subtle and then it's not. But did you notice that it balances her face, or at least half her face? Because of, you know, I don't want to show you guys her whole face because of the, just to cover her identity. Some of you guys have asked me, why can't I see the whole face? That's partly why. But it just balances it really well. It's just fuller, which is also something I want you to look at. But it looks natural too. So I hope you got some tips from this video, and share this with anyone you know that can benefit from this tip. And give me a like if you felt like you got something out of this video as well, and subscribe if you are still thinking about it. So again, if you missed some of the products, tap the screen. It's everything will be written down in the descriptions, so don't worry about if you missed anything. And thank you so much for your comments, because that definitely helps me out. And I will see you guys right back here. Thank you for your time.